Record 17, Side 1, Lesson number 17, the 17th lesson, Practical section, Local government. We have seen that Parliament in London governs the country. But it is not possible for the Houses of Parliament, the Commons and the Lords, to govern every single locality. Their purpose is to create laws, establish adequate relations with foreign countries, and find the money to finance the work that must be carried out. The very same happens in the counties, towns, and villages. Each must have some form of government to organize local finance and programs of building for roads, hospitals, houses, and so on. In every city and town, there are periodic elections for the city or town council. The persons elected usually live in the locality or have property in it. Local government councillors give their services voluntarily, without payment, and anyone who is a ratepayer may present himself for election. A ratepayer is a person who pays local taxes called rates. The councillors elected choose one of their number to be mayor. He too is unpaid, though he may be given an allowance for entertaining. Councillors may also claim expenses when their work as members of the local authority involves them in loss or expense. There are various types of local authority according to the region under its control. County councils are the most important and are almost autonomous. On almost the same level of importance, we find the county borough councils, which constitute the local government for the large towns and cities. London County Council is particular as it administers a particularly densely populated area. The Corporation of the City of London is special because of the importance of the city, the commercial centre of London, and its Lord Mayor is traditionally a very important personage in the country. The ceremonial that accompanies the Lord Mayor's procession is well known throughout the world. In smaller districts of less importance than the county borough councils, there are urban or rural district councils, and lastly parish councils and parish meetings. Each council is autonomous for a certain part of the organization of its area, but naturally the smaller councils have less responsibility than the larger ones. A parish council cannot be expected to maintain schools and hospitals in its area, but it will be required to look after local sanitation, cleaning of streets, and perhaps lighting and power when faults occur inside the parish boundaries. There are, in all cases, of course, permanent officials who are not elected, but nominated to fill positions in the administration of the local authority. Among these, we may find the town clerk, the medical officer, sanitary inspector, and chief constable, who all serve the community, but unlike the mayor and councillors, in a paid capacity. They are doing a full-time job of work and are paid for their services. Without them, local government would be impossible, for the elected members of the council normally dedicate themselves only part-time to their public duties. We mentioned rates as the term used for local taxes. These are calculated on the rateable annual value of the property occupied by the taxpayer. The annual value of the property is fixed by the local authority assessor, and according to the figure decided by the local authority as the tax payable on every pound of rateable value, the tenant knows exactly what taxes he must pay. If the local authority says that the rates for the year will be 10 shillings in the pound, and I occupy property valued at £20 per annum, my taxes will be £10, since 10 shillings in the pound is equal to a half. That is how money is obtained by local authorities. How it is spent is also a matter for discussion at a full session of the Council. This form of government is perhaps older than central government, for it certainly has a very long history through the centuries and is just as important to the country.
Side 2, grammatical section, the perfect tenses, second part. In lesson 13, we saw that the present perfect tense is formed with the auxiliary verb to have, followed by the past participle of the principal verb. This applies to all the perfect tenses, and the rules for the interrogative and negative forms are the same as for the simple tenses, remembering, of course, that the not comes after the first auxiliary in the negative forms, and that the subject is placed immediately after the first auxiliary in the interrogative forms. I had seen him before when he was a boy. Had you already been to Italy when we met? They won't have studied very much today. It's Sunday. Should not George and his wife have arrived this morning? The uses of the various perfect tenses may be explained as follows. The past perfect. When an action took place in the past, a preceding action will be described with this tense. He came after his friends had telephoned. Everyone had eaten well when the feast was over. The future perfect tense. This tense is used when an action at a specified time in the future will be past. At this time tomorrow I shall have finished this work. When your friends arrive, your cousins will already have gone. The perfect conditional tense. It is used for the past of the future perfect tense and in conditional tenses when the action of the verb in indirect speech has not been carried out. I think we shall have finished the lesson by the time you return. I thought we should have finished the lesson by the time you returned. If Peter had come, I should have gone with him. In this last sentence, we are supposing what might have happened if another event had taken place in the past. Peter did not come, so we use the perfect conditional in the principal clause. However, if the action did take place, or we do not know whether it took place or not, the simple conditional tense is used in English. He said he would come today. He may still come. Reflexive pronouns. The reflexive pronouns in English are myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, themselves. Note that this is the only occasion where the singular and plural of the second person are not the same. The indefinite reflexive pronoun is oneself. These pronouns are used as objects of the verb when the action falls on the doer. The subject and object are the same person. His father shaves himself every morning. The lady saw herself in the mirror. The reflexive can also follow a preposition. He often speaks to himself. The children looked at themselves in the photographs. She thought only of herself. Nobody else mattered. Reflexives are also used to emphasize. The headmaster himself gave Tom the prize. I myself speak English, or I speak English myself. They usually go themselves. We saw the Queen herself, in person. Reciprocal pronouns. The reciprocal pronouns are each other between two and one another between more than two. Tom and Jane gave each other a present for Christmas. They have spoken well of each other. The children are all very fond of one another. When people help one another, the world goes round with a smile. Now here are some questions with the answers to be translated into English quickly. 1. Had they been in the country for the weekend? 2. What was that man doing in our garden this morning? 3. They should have studied their lesson before now, shouldn't they? 4. Were there many people at the cinema this afternoon? 5. How many of those people do you know? 6. When did you come to live in Bologna? 7. When do we use a thing with confidence? 8. Who did you know at the party last night? 9. Which book would you have accepted with pleasure? 10. Had you waited long at the bus stop?